Hello friends, I am Patrick Domingues, and in this video you'll be shown how to change your computer's IP address from the command prompt. If you find this tutorial helpful, please do me a favor and click on that share, like, and subscribe button. If you would like to follow along, the link to this tutorial will be in the description below. Alright, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and open up command prompt as an administrator. I'm already here on my website. In this use case, this will actually be helpful if you have some RMM tool running in the background. You can change user's IP address from DHCP to a static without interrupting what they're doing. But for us right now, we're just going to use our command prompt on the computer to see the workflow. So first off, we are going to find out what adapter we need to add the IP address to. So we are going to type in net sh interface IPv4 show config. So what we're looking for is the interface's name. So here it shows a few that I have. If you had Wi-Fi, it would show up as Wi-Fi. So I'm going to be changing my Ethernet interface, my primary Ethernet interface, IP's address to a static. See right here, it says DHCP enabled, so we know it's not set as a static, right? Alright, so let's go ahead, since we have the name, let's go ahead and get started going through the process of changing your IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS addresses. Alright, so if you were doing this remotely to somebody else's computer, let's say through a Kaseya RMM, and you're just connected to the command prompt on the back end, I'd recommend you changing the DNS first so it continues to communicate out to the internet while you're changing your static, because I've seen scenarios where you change your static, your computer loses DNS and it can no longer get connected to the internet, and it interrupts their workflow, your workflow, and people aren't happy, right? So if you're using an RMM and you want to change, add statics through a command prompt in the back end, do the DNS first and then change your IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway. Alright, so since this is locally, we're just gonna start with changing our IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway. Let's take note that my current IP address is 2.55. And that our default gateway is 2.1, and our subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. This is going to be important whenever we're setting up this command to change our IP to static. Net sh interface IPv4 set address name equals start of the quote Ethernet. This is the adapter name. In your case, if you have a different adapter name, you just plug that in there. Static. Now, for me, because my network is 192.168.2, I can make my static 2.55 or something outside the DHCP scope. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm going to use 2.55 as the static. The 2.55. Now your network will vary. You could have like a 10.1.10.1 or a 192.168.1.1 network, so it will vary. and you'd have to, compensate with different details to add to that command prompt. Now, I typed in my static that I want. We're going to type in our subnet mask .0 followed by the default gateway 192.168.2.1, and we're set to hit enter. Alright, now that we have our static address assigned, we'll move forward into changing our DNS. We'll have to set the source of the Ethernet to static and apply our DNS address. Now, depending on the OS that you're using, this may vary. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to set our DNS to static. Set DNS server's name equals quote Ethernet end quote source equals static. Next, we're going to add the syntax for our static DNS. Net sh interface IPv4 set IPv4 set DNS name equals quote Ethernet end quote address equals quote 8.8.8.8 quote. Now, if this is the correct syntax for this operating system, it will go through. If it's not, we'll get an error to use an alternative syntax. Alright, so we got an error, and it's saying that, hey, we need to use this type of syntax under the examples. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Set DNS servers quote Ethernet static equals quote 8.8.8.8 end quote, and we're good. So if we do ipconfig all, we should see that our DHCP is not enabled, so that means our adapter is static. Our IP address is using our preferred. We have the correct subnet mask, the correct default gateway, and the correct DNS. So that's about it. Hopefully on your end you had success. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to give me a shout. Alright everybody, you have a good one.